That was not there a minute ago.
No, I know. Yeah, just pay attention to that because it changes. I don't know why. So if you connect something.
Here it is. Oh yeah.
The ghost in the machine.
There, yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
Hi, Brenda. She's been trying to watch us, and yesterday she couldn't hear us.
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
That's what I said. It's live from New York. It's Saturday night. And none of those
definitely
things are
was
true.
not expecting that. Hi, everybody. Sorry.
Hi,
I'm in my little
Dr.
zone
Nick.
over here. I'm getting napkins. I can see myself in the video over there.
Are we all blurry, or is it just my monitor?
I think it's just your monitor. You look normal on everything I can see.
Normal-ish.
Wait, you're watching on Facebook? Facebook has a throttling setting on the...
Yeah, you just need to go down and set this setting on yours.
Huh. Yesterday
So
was
yes, hi everybody.
fine.
I am Abe Nadimi.
Could just be our internet.
I'm
stuff.
Jannica Morton.
That's Emily Francis. I'll introduce
Hello.
her.
Hi, Emily Francis.
I'm a mystery.
And we don't know who this guy is.
Men in Black.
He's
Man in Black.
The Black Man in Black.
Yes.
Oh, God, I'm going to get a bunch of hate one day.
Oh my God.
So I missed this show yesterday, both physically and just being on this and seeing this. So it's pretty cool. This is a really cool thing we got going on. So I'm very happy that you guys were able to survive slightly
We
okay.
barely
without
did.
me.
We totally made it through. We survived the valley, and we set it up nicely for us to interrogate you today.
I saw that.
We're trying to figure out how to plan either being on Oprah first or releasing the book first. We're trying to time it together of just the struggle bus that we drove all the way home.
Yeah.
Yes, without you. That's what you do to us.
Yes,
all
that's
your
true.
fault.
It's all my fault.
Yeah.
So what in the world is this particular craziness about today?
I mean,
I just saw a post that said, now it's going to be Abe steak. I'm like, what happened?
well, I mean, you weren't on the show, so you couldn't control it.
I'm not saying I've gone mad with power, but I am saying if I had a dragon, this city would be on fire.
So none of us were talked over. That was a new one.
Yeah.
so
I feel like I just talked the whole time, and then it
Like
was
three of you guys saying dumb shit all the time. Why would you guys overtake? Like, I would say that dumb shit too. Like, what are you talking about?
So we basically figured the first 10 minutes we're gonna do this and annoy you for not being here, but then the rest of the time.
Okay.
The idea. So yesterday we talked about what our experiences with coaching and mindfulness and how do you select
Boy, this is a loaded topic.
as a person.
It really is.
How do you personally select and
what matters to you when you're looking
what's
for
good and
those
bad?
things.
What makes you decide if you're going to spend money with coaching, and how do you investigate that to qualify it, and all of the things that go into a buying decision. And so we talked about it, and they're like, okay, well, Abe wasn't here, so we're going to extend this, and now you get to talk about it.
Huh. So I've spent.
We set the bar high, though. So
I have spent a
no.
small fortune on coaching. I could have bought a house, I think, maybe. I don't know. So that said, I really value coaching, and for so many different reasons. One of them is the coaching that's happening at the moment, like whatever you're actually receiving. One of them is to go through the process. One of them is specific tactical information, which I think is really, really valuable. So as far as what I've noticed in the coaching space, and we're starting to actually implement some of these too, is because of course being a coach is just like any other profession. And I think what happens is, well, they want to help people. That's a big driver of what they do, but they also want to make money. And so I think anytime you really want to help people and you really want to make money, those two things can potentially collide. And that doesn't mean they always collide, but they do. And so one thing that I've noticed is sometimes coaches are really good at selling what their knowledge is, and they market their specific knowledge, but that knowledge may not be actually what's needed by the client, in my opinion.
Right.
And so what a lot of them I've seen do is that they will offer you exactly what you asked for. So if you came in and said, I need branding coaching.
Okay.
Like, okay, awesome, I have a $7,000 package. Here's my branding coaching. It's a 7-week process, blah, 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 right? You pay for that. And then you come out and you still are not doing well on social media. And the reality is that it's not a branding problem that you have. You have a I'm scared to be on camera problem, or I'm scared to post, or I don't like my writing and so I'll never publish anything problem. And that's a whole different problem. And so you got to go to another coach. Another coach is like, okay, sure. let's work on your writing. And so you go through the blog exercise and they write all, and you get that, and you still don't post because you're scared of what people are going to think about you and what your mom's going to say. And you just go through this endless loop of them going through this stuff. And what really is, if they would have listened to the person from the beginning, it's like, I think no matter what I tell you, you probably would not actually do any of them right now. So what I'd like to do is I want to start off with a mindset element, or I want to start with specific tactical exercises to help move you along so that you can actually start getting some of the things that you're asking for. And in that sense, that would be an amazing relationship with the coach. And that coach and you could continue on for a long, long time, possibly, as they keep on upping your game. I do think it's really valuable to say this one fact is, this is a story of Michael Jordan. So Michael Jordan is already an NBA player at this time. And he, of course, has the coaches and the trainers in the Chicago Bulls. However, he, on his own, goes out and gets Tim Grover, which is a whole different, he's outside, he's running his own, little, athletic training organization. And he gets an arrangement with Tim Grover, and Tim Grover is his coach in a sense, and trainer, and trains Michael Jordan throughout his whole career. And I think that's so important, is that even someone that is pretty much known as the best, one of the best athletes of all time, definitely the best basketball player of all time, and he was paying money for somebody else to help him see things differently and push himself to areas he didn't have, I guess, he needed an outside perspective on, let's say it that way. So I love that relationship.
So before you get into the relationship, how do you even begin the process of selecting someone? Because, like, yes, people will say, okay, I think I need X, right, branding or writing or whatever, but then they still have to make a selection of who are they going to go to.
Where to
Well, you
look
can hit
to find
Abe
them?
at kineticexperience.com. You can hire me, and then I can help you figure out and my patented 5-step process on how you can get a coach. It's a very simple system. So one of them I would recommend is asking people that are already in that space. Now, I did not say ask your friends. I said ask people that are in that space. Not to say you should omit your friends, but there's a difference between proximity advice and expert advice. And expert advice is being from the people that are actually experienced in that specific field, and versus just, hey, I'm going to ask Stephen because he's right in front of me, and Emily because she's right in front of me. And I think people do that a lot. So I would say definitely going through that route. And then the second thing is, when you look through what their program is the program ultimately going to deliver tactical results if you are having a problem that is tactical in nature? And I think having a really honest conversation with yourself to ask yourself, why am I actually having a problem here? Is it because you don't know how to do something, or is it because you're scared to do something? And those are two totally different coaches. The scared to do something is a different person than the tactical person. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
So that is a huge thing right there. Because you could say, going back to the branding exercise, there are people that can give you so much advice on branding. And if you're really stuck, because you just don't know if your website should have a single page layout or have multiple tabs at the top, we'll go reach out to those people, and they can help you design a website and talk you through the process if you want to do it yourself. And they can lay out a process, and they'll explain to you why certain websites have certain things. If your problem with publishing a website, whether it's a one-page or multi-tab website, is that you don't feel comfortable in the business model, or you don't feel comfortable telling the world that blah, 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 that's a totally different person. And if you look internal and really, really talk to yourself and have a moment of clarity, maybe you'll get to the point where you'll actually know, I'm not really sure I know how to move forward because I'm just kind of scared. And that is a wonderful moment of clarity, because that changes the whole conversation. And you can go on websites. We work with people to design websites, so I don't want to shoot myself in the foot here. However, there's a lot you can do with a crappy website. So, a lot of people go like, I need business cards, I need a website, I need blah, 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 and you're like, you don't need any of that shit. What you need to do is just go on this camera and go tell people what you do. They're like, no, it doesn't work like that. I don't like to have the camera in front of me. I don't like to tweet. I don't like to post. Like, okay, well, why? Some people, it's because of the way they want to interact with society, totally understand. And the other ones are like, ultimately it's because they're scared of how they're going to sound like and look like. We kind of got over that a lot just because we forced ourselves through it.
Yeah, it's not fun
I remember at the very
all.
beginning, Emily's like, I have to be on camera. What the hell are you talking about? Steven was like, I don't want to do this.
Nope. Abe is the only one that wanted to do it.
And I knew, I really did. I want to do this like a decade ago, and I just couldn't do it. It took me all the way till the spring of 2017 to start working on it.
All I know is
and now
60-year-old me does not want, 30-year-old me ruining our chance of being president by shit I said on this show when I was 30.
I think your street cred's already ruining that. So.
Oh no, that's what'll get me in.
I mean,
does that help answer your question?
Yeah. But okay, so that's part of it. But then in the situation where it's like, because you use Michael Jordan as an example, right? So Michael Jordan's clearly not a person that has he doesn't have a fear problem, right? he was already playing basketball, performing at a high level. He got over the initial, 8th grade, getting cut from the team, all that stuff. But in the process of even him selecting his coach, like there was some validation step. He didn't just grab some rando off the street. So beyond like the initial part, let's say that you're like, okay, I know what I need to do, but I'm also coaching is my preferred method of leveling up.
Okay.
What separates bad coaches from good coaches, and as far as like the buying proposition?
Yeah, how do you determine that?
So again, let's go.
How do you determine where your money is best spent? That's really because like.
How about we go a different way? How about we don't go through analysis paralysis, because that is.
Not talking about. So everyone has a heuristic in their brain. Everyone has an algorithm that they run that decides how they pick what they spend money on. So we are.
How do I do it?
Yeah.
Mine's a totally different than most people.
Yeah.
Okay, mine is like, hey, I think I need a coach.
Why we're asking you.
I will go and ask, or I'll go somewhere. If I see a coach and I'm jiving with them, right? And I'm really looking for I can deliver results and I care. Yes, I want to make money, but I make money by making customers happy. Mm-hmm. If I get that vibe, I'm a lot more willing to actually entertain the process and try it out, and usually go through a shorter term engagement.
Okay. So you're looking for, your heuristic is, does this person in the initial engagement make me feel like they have what it takes to deliver on their promise, but then also has a way for me to try and test it before?
Yes, so I've done this I've done this quite some time, quite a few times.
Right.
Whether it's consultants or coaches. So I would say at the very beginning, it was just the fact that I could go get a coach and a mentor that was exciting for me.
Okay.
In a sense, like that was an achievement because I never had one before, so now I could start figuring things out. Okay. Then all of a sudden I had some experience in the space and I understood what I was looking for and what I wasn't looking for, and so I could make modifications accordingly. Does that make sense? So I think that's, for me, the way I learn. That is one way I learn, is I'll just get into the fire and then I'll start figuring things out once I'm there, versus spending all my time on the outside wondering what's the best jump-in angle and spending forever in, again, that's why I said analysis paralysis, which is like, well, I really like him, but he's $4,000, and I really like her, but she's $3,200, and there's $800 difference, but I really like him. Like, fuck, man, it's $800. If they do what they say they're going to do, you're going to be so much further ahead. If they start off and it just sucks, then just kill the deal and move on. But again, I think very differently in some of these areas.
So do you think that the, like you're comparing the $800 difference, do you think that you would make the choice to go with the more expensive because the perceived value? Or would you just go, it's only $800, or it's $800, I don't have a gut reaction either way, I'm going to go with the cheaper one? Like, what does your problem?
For me, really, again, going from the very beginning, it was like, what are we going to do? Mm-hmm. And then now, if I go through a coach, if I was to work with a coach right now, it would be, these are the specific things that I'm needing help on. Can you specifically help me get these in these time frames? Mm-hmm. Right? And so if I was going to do that, I would really be listening to, do you have a proven method to make this particular thing happen?
Okay, but say, that's what I'm asking you though, they're equal in that response. Do you pick the higher value or the lower value?
The one that makes me feel like.
So it's like a gut feeling.
It's a feeling.
It's not a.
So Abe, your heuristic is this.
Well, you have to listen to your intuition.
Yeah, but some people don't. They go just by numbers.
That's why I said you have to listen, and I'm referring to everybody on the other side of that camera, because everybody has to listen to their intuition.
Right.
Well,
that doesn't overrule their analytical brain all the time, but it is a big component. And people
so if anything, step one should be, before you dive into some other coaching, find a way to learn to listen to yourself. So maybe start there, not jumping into expensive life coaching.
Did you remember that? I said, make sure you have a conversation with yourself, So you
I'm
know
just
exactly
now,
which
if
one
you're
you're
one of the
interested.
people who doesn't listen to yourself, you're not just going to magically.
I think
start
people
doing
do.
it.
People do listen to themselves all the time. They will talk themselves out exactly what they think, and then they will go and they try to rationalize it and analyze it.
I think
And-
it's the brain. It's when you let your mind get in the way that you lose your intuition.
Yeah, and if you get to the point where you're like, but they promised me this, and they said this, and they said that, and all that shit is like on the other side of Kansas, like you have to think like, really? Because I couldn't promise anything that much. I could promise someone this next step. This is I see you're starting a business and you want to be a millionaire. I can't promise you that in my 1 7-week coaching session, you're going to go from 0 to millionaire. That's bullshit. That's a huge jump. It's like, I can promise you that you'll have a viable business operating. That makes sense to me. Like, okay, we can work on that. Then the next step is, well, what's the next step after that? I don't know. Maybe you hate the business. Maybe you suck as a business owner. I don't know. When we get there, we'll figure some stuff out and we'll get to the next step, which is blah, blah, blah. You know, because especially people on the outside, they're looking for a straight path. And it doesn't work like that, right? Like, I want to be boxing champion of the world. Tell me the 48 fights I have to do and the 12 punches I need to know. It's like, well, it don't work like that. We're just step by step. And once we hit that milestone, we adjust accordingly, and we go to the next milestone. We adjust accordingly. And I think in that's a problem for myself in the coaching space is people are being sold on that huge utopian idea of what's going to happen. And because they've gotten to the point that they're looking for that Hail Mary. They're looking for that hand of God that's just going to touch them and like make their life amazing.
People want a montage. They don't want the part where you're actually performing the thing where you've run up and down the stairs 1,000 times. Like, they just want the part where you're like, yeah, look, I'm fit now.
Everybody
Yeah.
wants the weight loss pill.
Of course.
Everybody wants the diet like that. Nobody wants.
exists,
I mean,
it's
me
meant- I
included,
don't
right? Like,
think
I don't
it's
want
a
to.
good idea.
I don't want to have to work through it and all that other stuff. And so, and that's why those industries are huge. And it's the truth. The problem is that there's an integrity issue, right? So if I'm promising someone the world, then if I really down deep know that I'm not going to be able to deliver, then why? I don't know. For me personally, I don't feel comfortable doing that. That's just my style. You know, other people are like, nah, we'll knock it out because they're really talking about a sliver of the 2% that has actually done it, and the rest of them have failed. And that's very common in the coaching space. It's a lot of time there's just like this churn, and they just get chewed up. And, you know, 10 grand later, they really haven't done anything. And that's really what is the Kinetic Core program. Like, that's why we designed it. It's like, before you go do all that stuff, like, have a solid foundation first. Have an actual business model that can make sense.
And to know
I know so many people that work so hard. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would say just so that you actually know where you're starting from so you can actually measure if progress was made.
Absolutely. I know so many people that work so damn hard on their business, and the reality is that the business model was flawed from the minute they started. They had false expectations, they didn't align resources, all of these kind of things, and so it makes it really, really hard for them.
Remember you were talking about like how, I think maybe it was Janny was saying like how to pick like which one if something was more expensive or less expensive. A friend of mine in college, he would, when we go shopping for something, whatever the most expensive option for a thing that he was shopping for was the one he would buy. Regardless of reviews, regardless if someone was like, no, that thing is garbage, don't buy it. He'd be like, but it's the most expensive, so it must be the best. And it
Can
was
you
like,
see if he's interested in any coaching?
I already sold him a bag of beans, so he's not worried about, you know, getting rid of all that extra money anymore.
Okay, it says that the video ended on Facebook for me.
It glitched for a second, and now it's back on the main real live stream, but it should be okay now.
It's all these tech issues with Facebook sometimes.
Well, it's just that was weird because usually the hardline one doesn't have issues; it stays streaming the whole time. But
Yeah, let me
everything should be
see.
back
I'm going to
online.
see here. I'm just going to check out really fast because I don't see. It says
Yeah,
Jannica.
mine said it ended and
No, it
it
says-
wait for the video.
And now it says live now.
Oh,
So
no,
go back to
we're
main
back.
Jannica.
Yep, I see.
Cool.
Let's see what
That's
happens.
weird.
Are we having internet problems?
We're always
Wait.
having internet problems.
It's rainy, there's Wi-Fi connectivity issues. That is the nature of life now.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we
This
all
is
need
the world we
5G
live in.
so we can cook our insides while streaming super
Oh,
fast.
it sucks.
Well, if we're inside of a building, we still wouldn't get it, so it wouldn't matter.
That's funny. Okay, so Tangi had a question which I lost here. Can you repost the question or just ask the question?
What's the #1 unseen obstacle that you come across? Something that's blatantly obvious to you, but isn't immediately apparent to clients.
That I am smarter than they are.
Oh, good lord.
And
That's what I
we
said
went bankrupt before
I'm
we-
just joking. One of the first obstacles, let me think. I think for me, one of the things that I've noticed is no desire to slow down. Like, and I've done this myself, and I do this, I'm sure, all the time. It's so dead set on what I specifically want to accomplish that I'm not willing to look out and really make sure that the plan makes sense. Mm-hmm. And that's why I said a second ago that in the Kinetic Core program, one of the things that's so important to us is the business model. Like, is this plan make sense? And I have so many people, and really what it is that when you're an entrepreneur and you're just getting started, you have to have faith in yourself. But that's the crazy part, right? You have to have faith in yourself, and you have to really, really work hard on your business, and you really have to bring your vision of what you want to out. But at the same time, you have to be willing to take input, specifically from experts, that will tweak your model or tell you why your model will not work. Right now, not so much now, but I used to get calls about making mobile apps all the time. And the vast majority of the mobile apps that I got requests for or talked to was like the app that I was trying to build, which was a double-sided market. And what that means is that on one side, let's say Tinder's a double-sided market. You have to have people wanting to go on date and people looking for dates, or vice versa, right? Or Craigslist,
A
or
meat market.
A meat market.
or a meat market. So these are apps that require two different people to both simultaneously
They
show
both
up.
want the same thing, they just need to give it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're specifically referring to Tinder. So, anyways, so
Wait, is Tinder the one, the swipe thing?
yeah.
Or-
So,
I think
so anyways, going back. So the double-sided market problem is very, very difficult because it's not the problem that you're solving that's the problem. It's the challenge of getting two sides to show up at the same time. So it's like, hey, come to my app as a new way to sell your car. And you come in and like, there's nobody there to look at your car being sold. Why would you pay me to list your car? You'll list your car at Auto Trader or Craigslist or whatever because there's a lot of people that are going there, right? But why would you come to my site? I have a new one. So I go to other people like, come to my site, you can buy cars. And they come to ain't no cars for it. So I have so many people that would reach out and say, I've solved this problem. Like, okay, but how are you gonna launch it? Oh, no, you don't understand. I did the same thing, right? Because they have such dead set idea what they're gonna accomplish that they're not willing to listen to anybody else. And so what ends up happening is invariably a lot of individuals will have a huge chunk of dough that they need to burn through before they're willing to be humble enough to ask for help and tweak the model before, blah, blah, blah.
Not just ask for help, but actually take it. Because you can ask for help all day and then be like, yeah, that's great. That sounds like a great idea. And like, well, I'm not doing a single one of those things.
That's a whole
I
different
know
conversation
better.
for me. Yes, you're right,
Well, I
absolutely.
was gonna say, like, kind of from the TKA standpoint, getting so focused on the vision that you forget to actually make a plan that can get you there.
Mm-hmm.
So you're focused on the end, not actually in any way how to actually get there.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. That's a great
And
way
a lot
to
of
say
it is like some of it you're gonna have to wing it, but you have to at least have, milestones or something there so that okay, if I've gotten to this point, I should definitely still be able to get where I'm going versus like, oh no, I just realized I've been flying south for 3 days and
Yeah, well, you don't understand. You don't really know what I'm building. You don't understand. Like, okay, all right.
well, do
And
you understand what you're building?
and so the
'Cause
problem
it
here-
doesn't seem like it.
So
based
here's
on
what
you're doing.
here's what the opportunity comes in for us is we say, well, we have a program to get you there. So now we're one of the same people that we put up a paywall when we identify a problem, right? So what I did in the past, and this was my mistake. So from a how to make money from coaching perspective, here's a little bit what I figured out. Is that in this case, when someone would explain their business model to me, or tell me about their business, I'm quickly putting the model together in my mind. And then I would immediately just say, I don't think it's gonna work, and this is why, or whatever. The problem is that I wasn't taking the person on the journey, and they're always coming up with a lot of assumptions based on experience. And so what is better now is I would say, well, I'm not really sure what your model, if your model makes sense in the marketplace, but I have a thought process, I have a system, we have a system that's a known system. Actually, you guys can all research business canvases. It's a known system, and how to figure out if your model is actually viable, what are the key drivers of it, and we have a program to do that, and if you're interested, it's like this. So what I'm doing now is I don't look at someone and say, I know exactly what your problem is. I say, I know how to figure out with you what your problem is, and then you can walk them through the course.
Yeah.
So it's very obvious, right? Like if you walk, if a doctor looks at you and you're on the ER floor or the emergency room floor. They don't just walk up and assume that from their experience that you're having a heart attack and they do chest compressions and cut you open. They still measure, they still check, and they can take all those measurements ultimately to you later on or your family, like, this is what I measured, this is what I saw, this is why I did this, and then this happened, and then I measured again, and right? And so it's that process that I think is so important that coaches do with individuals, and you're on the receiving end of, so that, well, I'm sorry, for coaches, and that's how you can actually start charging. Because otherwise what you'll do is you'll bring your experience to bear really, really fast. The person has no idea what your frame of references are, where you're coming from, and they will discredit, they won't value what you told them in a lot of cases, because they're like, well, how could this person know all of this in a 3-minute conversation, a 30-minute conversation? And they won't listen to you. You wasted your time. You don't get a client, and the other person doesn't actually get the help they need, and they continue to spin the wheels.
So what do you do about the person who,
like you, who will never get a coach?
well, I'm never gonna get a coach because no one knows how to sell to me.
Well, this is true.
Yeah. Because one of the key things that I think a lot of people go to coaching for, aside from the actual, a lot of it is hands-on help, but a lot of people go because what they want someone to do is reflect back the belief they have in themselves.
Ha! Yeah.
They just want to hold up a mirror with like a nice filter on it, so it's the most beautiful version of yourself that you could ever hope to
So
see.
like you just described a very surgical, or not very surgical, but a surgical tactical approach to getting someone to results, right? You use a doctor, and it's a great example. You know what a doctor doesn't have to do? They don't have to care in your validity as a person to know that they need to diagnose you for appendectomy, cut you open, and get it out. But in the coaching space, especially in the startup space, you see so many founders wasting all their time selling the people that are supposed to help them. It's like if I didn't want to help you.
That actually, there you go. That's kind of what I was referring. That was a different way to say what I was trying to say. That's a beautiful way to say that.
Like if I didn't want to help you, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
Right. If I didn't think that you had a possibility, I wouldn't be here. So I do not need you to sell me the vision every single time.
Yep.
Like we need to work on the vision.
That's right.
So
I like that.
And going back to the reason why for me the coaching paradigm is the other way around is I want someone to address the problems, and then a lot of times they spend the time selling me on how great they are as a coach.
Yes.
And then not when they don't get that feedback, because that's one of the things. Like I never give that feedback. I'm never going to be like, yeah, this is awesome and excited. It's like, okay, next.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's Lego pieces, and then they're like, okay, I don't even know if I can really work with you because, you know, I'm not getting the feedback from you that indicates that I'm doing a great job. So like, because I don't feel good about this job, I also don't think that this is working out. And I'm like, you show the results, show the results.
Yeah.
Or it's we're working on a win-win. And like, this should not be a win for you. I'm paying you
As
to.
a coach,
Like,
aren't you worried about me?
You won. You got me.
You got my money. Like you've won. Like,
Yeah.
Now I need to be winning. Yeah.
Last time
I
I
get
checked,
so
it's not
annoyed
the
with
gold
that.
medal gymnast and her coach standing up there.
Yeah.
It's just the one.
Yeah. I always
Yeah.
get annoyed with that when they say that.
What?
Just when a coach says that I want to create a win-win with us.
So the problem is that in the coaching space, they're driven by making money. This is like the money that they use to put food and bread on the table.
Yeah.
And the bigger chunk that your money is that puts food and bread on the table, the more they're going to really hone in on making sure you're a client, right? And so because of that, it's just really hard to go into the helping space while it's also linked to the money space, in my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I don't like to use the word help at all. I really try to remove that from the conversations here, because when I help someone, I just help them and I walk off. If I assist them or if I coach them, I don't know, whatever, or consult them, then I would charge for that, right? And that would be known, like I'm here to make money and this is my service, and I really want to give an amazing customer service, and so this is how I work. Versus like, I'm here to help people, but only the people that can afford me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That can only pay in this time schedule. Like, that's not help.
No.
Because to me, again, there's just this word means something to me. And so I have a problem with that one. I'm not looking for a win-win in the coaching space either. I'm sorry, I'm saying like we are not looking to deliver a win-win. We're looking to deliver a win.
Right.
Because the minute that they become our client, their win becomes my win in the sense of they're a happy client.
Now I have a success story.
Yeah,
to prove
exactly.
that-
That's my win.
Uh-huh.
No, your win is my win. Not I'm looking for a win-win. That's what you do when you're trying to make a negotiation between two parties.
Yeah, that's your barista is never supposed to tell you, okay, I'm really looking for a win-win here on the drink selection. It's like, no, I want coffee that's black.
Yes.
get me the coffee.
Yeah.
with no
Right.
sugar.
Yes, not a win-win. Like, here's my money,
Yeah.
you won. Now,
But I'm looking to make a cup of coffee that'll look really good on Instagram, and you know what doesn't? A boring cup of black coffee. So
So
we'll
actually-
compromise, and I will pour milk in
she's so
it.
crazy.
No, literally, you'd be surprised. We have to actually. I've had to train baristas and people inside of coffee shops to really listen to their customer and understand what the customer wants and read the customer and not be so fixated on how fantastic this bean is from what region that we got this
Oh,
week.
yeah.
Like, there are people that want that, and obviously, like, that's the top line of what you're selling.
Hold on, well, we had a whole business conversation. We had a whole live show about how I wanted a coffee shop. Didn't talk about that stuff.
Yes, yes,
And Steve was like, it's dumb.
But inside of all of that, I think it was too optimized to that person. But there
No.
are all of those people that come to the coffee shops, and so like you know, like there's some regulars that love to just talk about everything, and like the win-win there is you as the barista get to talk about things you're passionate about, and the customer also reciprocates that. And then there's a whole bunch of people that will tip you amazingly if you never talk to them and give them exactly what they need as fast as possible.
Yep.
Like I'm taking $1 out for every word that comes out of your mouth.
Yes.
You're going to be paying me for this cup of coffee.
Can you imagine what Emily's view of the world looks like from her eyes? Like, oh my gosh, she's
I-
walking around like, I
I-
want to stab
yes.
you.
I
love
lived
you.
with her. You know,
I know.
there's a bunch of little me's running around her house.
Yes. I remember listening to Scotty when he was like 6 or 7. I'm going, oh shit, that's Emily. Emily's coming out of his mouth.
So yeah, that's. So
So what other questions would you like to grill me on today?
I mean, it's not really. I mean,
I'm just
you know,
joking.
this is a reflection of the market, right?
Right.
And-
Hey
okay,
man,
so,
it's a hard space. It's a hard space, right?
So what would you say would be the top 2 or 3 traits that have made your coaching experience that you've gone through great?
Huh, that's amazing.
Yeah, they talk about some of the best coaches you've had, and then some of the like
The worst one.
worst waste of everybody's time.
You know, some of the best coaching I've had, this is going to sound weird, is going to be free-flowing
From
conversations.
Yep.
Okay.
So almost like this process right here that you're doing, in a sense, like interview, but then saying, but why did you actually answer that? And can I give you a different way to answer, and think about that? And
This is when you've been the person
on the
being
receiving
coached.
end,
Yeah.
on the receiving end.
Yeah.
And so they're not talking about, obviously, business topics so much as like, you know, I remember we talked about this in the past. Can we talk about it? Sure. Okay. So why did you say this? And may I give you a different way to look at it? And then that causes a different conversation. Because I think what's the most empowering thing for me, yes, sometimes I need tactical help.
Mhm.
Like I don't know how to do this HTML code, whatever. The other part of it is the way somebody approaches a situation is through their perspective. That's what we talk about again in our Kinetic Core program. The way we approach things is based on the perspective that we have that is established by the things that have happened in our life up to this point.
Okay.
Okay? So if I'm able to readjust what those elements are, I can approach life in a new state and a new perspective. People wake up sometimes going like, God, I hope today's a good day.
Mhm.
Some people wake up like, oh, I'm still alive. Some people wake up like, fuck yes, I'm here. I'm so excited. Thank God I'm still here. Nothing can go wrong. I'm alive. I'm above the ground. Right? What's the difference? Everything that they do from that point forward is going to be starting off in that emotional state.
Mhm.
Right? So any help to tweak the emotional state, anything to tweak the perspective. So I talk about, you know, really understanding the difference between what's internal and what's external. If mastering that is something that I worked really, really hard on learning about. And what I mean is, I can only control my reaction and my feelings and my thoughts about a situation. I cannot control the situation.
Right.
So I can let the situation be the ruin of me and destroy my day, or I can let the situation and separate myself from that and be like, okay, that's there, I'm here, I can choose happiness, I can choose an empowered view of that state and move on. That is such a powerful thing if I can learn that.
So then, what's the difference between that and a therapist?
Huh?
What's the difference between
I don't know.
that?
I've never been through a proper therapist per se. So proper therapist, I mean, that's great too. Go to a therapist. Anything that you can do to change your mindset and your perception of the world is probably one of the most valuable things you can do. If you are having any difficulty in moving your life forward because people don't like me, the world doesn't support me, I can't do something, whatever it is, especially if it has to do with you outside, like your perceptions of things, your way you're analyzing things, go talk to other people. They will enlighten you. Read books. Read this book. I'm reading this book, A Man's Quest for Meaning, I think by Mr. Viktor Frankl.
Yes.
Did I say the name right?
Victor Frankenstein? I don't think that's the doctor you're thinking.
Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl.
The sequel.
He, please drop, I'll find it and drop it into the link here. Let me go on Amazon. I use my affiliate code on Amazon, so one day when you guys buy it, I'm gonna get 2 cents.
You're gonna be rich.
Okay.
You only need to replicate that 20 million more times.
Yeah. Just scale it. This is called scale at this point. So, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl is he was in concentration camps during World War II. So he has a very, very interesting perspective, and so much of what he talks about is specifically, oh my gosh, hold on a second. So much of what he talks about is the fact that if you have a desire for the future and you have a vision of what life needs from you, then you can withstand anything. And if you do not, so let me write that name down. Life becomes really, really difficult. So this is someone who have seen death and pain and destruction in levels that we cannot normally talk about. So if he can have that empowered perspective of the world and seeing what the Nazis did to him and his friends and so forth, and his wife was killed also. So when he got to the camp, apparently they got separated. She died. On the other side, he lived. I mean, like, horrific tragedies. And he's still looking at it. And in the book, it's amazing. It's like, those of us that were able to find meaning and happiness, even in the smallest things, we were the ones that had a chance to survive. So that's something that I really, really take to heart, and something I work on so much. And that's why, again, every time we have conversations here, like, you know, this person is abused, and this person is victimized, and this person society doesn't like, and I'm like, but that doesn't mean that they have to carry that on and talk about it and tell everybody in a negative way rather than the changing way. Like, I want to change this, I want to make this better, versus like, I'm a victim. But Mr. Viktor Frankl here, if you read the book, he's never a victim. He's never a victim, even though, again, I would imagine when they found him, he was skin and bones and beaten for like, I think 3 to 4 years. So talk about a very, very difficult life.
That's what happens when you don't learn your lesson the first time.
Oh my gosh.
So I love you still haven't seen it. Life is Beautiful. Have you guys seen that movie? Oh my God, it's so good. But it's a similar concept of what Viktor Frankl went through.
Your attitude will shape your reality, even if, I mean, that's part, it's like, you know, he wasn't real happy most of the time, but he put that out there to comfort others around him.
I thought, but think about it. It had to bring him some happiness, you know, way more than being miserable and cranky about it. Like, it's such a beautiful story.
Well, again, if these individuals in those situations come out and say, this is what helped me survive, your car getting wrecked, your car getting repoed, your boyfriend leaving you, like, none of those
even compare. Yeah.
Going in and not being respected because you're the only brown guy in the room, or you're only the woman in the room, and all of those other things should not ruin the core of your existence to such a point that you hate humanity and you don't want to move forward and life sucks. And so, I mean, again, these are people that have gone through real crazy shit that I don't wish on anybody. And so I'm just trying to mimic them, and I'm just trying to take that in, and anything that you can do to get that kind of help would be amazing.
I'm just putting it out there. It's one of those, like, the quality of misery isn't like a contest. So people can survive amazingly horrible things, and then people can also be crushed by what seems to be minor things. So it's not just like the perception is how your attitude comes forth and how you get through it. My perception of someone else's suffering is irrelevant to what their experience is. I
know, but you are more inclined to allow someone to say they're suffering and be like, oh, poor baby, versus me. It's not a scale of judgment. It's just like, oh, you're not suffering as much as I'm suffering. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm like, we should not suffer. And help me in moments where I'm like, I spill my coffee on me, fuck this, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, hey, come on, hold on. And you would help me through that moment, because in reality, it's not a thing, right? Or you could be like, yes, he is suffering and he has a right to suffer, and who am I to judge the suffering? And I'm like, no, none of us should suffer. None of it. That's all me being in a disempowered state. And anytime you guys and anybody else and Mr. Frankel and anybody else that can remind me through books, quotes, taps on the shoulder, advice, thank you, because that's what allows me to move forward and constantly work to be a happy person.
Let me ask you a question. How would you define the need for struggle versus the need for suffering?
Hold on a second. Struggle, suffering, suffering, struggle. Let me think through that really carefully, make sure I understand.
So you said none of us should suffer. That we should look at it, reframe it, have a positive attitude. Like we should not have to suffer, right? That we should change our perception of something. How is that different from we have to struggle?
I think struggle can also be a physical thing, where suffering is an emotional thing.
Well,
I
suffering can be physical too.
Physical.
They're both.
I mean, they can be, but we're talking about your everyday situation.
Again,
probably.
What's the difference?
Yeah, you can't really separate the emotional impact.
So
of
we
the
would say,
physical.
we'll say it this, well, I'll say it, and I'll maybe try a different way. Okay. So, in the sense of, I'll speak only from me, and it's not me starting the business, it's us, but I want to speak for myself.
Mm-hmm.
For me to start this business, there has been a struggle. There has been a constant growth. There's been stuff like this camera, like doing stuff that has been difficult for me.
Okay.
Right? Through that process, I've learned and grown. Through that process, there are moments that I have suffered. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And through those suffering, I have learned I've learned a new part of my life, a new part of myself,
mm-hmm.
That has been so wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
The struggle too has been amazing too, because through that struggle is where I have learned new things, because I'm not willing to give up on them, and I'm willing to constantly learn. So I think struggling is amazing. I think suffering is the byproduct of it, and suffering is always things that you can move through because you learn something else if you want to move through them.
I don't know.
So people will bump up against the struggle rev limiter and then stop. And that's not growth.
They will with suffering too.
Yeah, but that's not growth either.
Right, but why do we have, so this is a conversation you and I have all the time. You say we need to struggle, we have to struggle, we have to work hard. And I'm always like, no, we fucking don't. We do not have to struggle, we do not have to work hard. It's all perception. Why would you choose suffering or not choose suffering? Why would you choose struggling or not choose struggling? It's all a state of mind.
So is this the difference between something being difficult and something being painful?
Could be.
So,
but again, those are choices. You choose, is this difficult? Is this painful? Those are a choice.
So
you attach that definition to it.
But in the situation of like, I guess to put more color around it. So like for instance, working out. If someone has a goal that they want to achieve with working
Jenny's
out.
suffering and struggling.
I'm suffering just thinking about it.
Right. But if that goal is something that they want to achieve, there will be pain involved.
Literally physical,
but there's
possibly.
not struggle involved. Like there's not a...
You're not fighting against something that's preventing you from even trying to get started.
Exactly.
Other than your own self.
Well, like, that's a struggle. It is a big struggle for me to work out.
But the cows,
and I suffer.
But that's different than like you show up, like you wake up in the morning and someone throws bricks in your back and says, you need to walk from here to there and it's 2 miles. And I don't care about you or anything else or any pain you're experiencing. So then you have to like persevere beyond that.
Right.
I chose to try to reach this goal, so there will be pain involved, so I need to stick around until I can reach the goal. So like, that's what I'm asking, like, which one are we talking about?
I don't know that it matters. I think that no matter what area you're in, what moment you're in,
so
we have the power to choose what our view and what we experience.
Yeah, but I remember in the gym, while I'm on the rowing machine, I hear, oh, she's trying to kill me.
Totally.
Why is she doing this? She's evil.
She totally is.
Betty
Rocker is evil.
While you're simultaneously doing it.
Yeah.
So what are you doing right there?
I am choosing to complain because I'm in pain.
But you're working hard.
But I was working hard.
So you said we shouldn't have to work hard.
No, the mindset of working hard, that in order to be successful, you have to work hard. I don't think so. I think that's just an example.
It's not that you have to be sick.
Hold on. Frame what your success is at that point.
Bingo.
Because absolutely, like if your vision of your perfect life is a modest home and a decent car, not a lot of trips to expensive places. Like, you can be wildly successful and not have ground away for 60 hours a week. But if you want a different version of your perfect life, then that may require more effort than just working for somebody for 40 hours a week.
Agree, but you said it right there, more effort. Effort is not the same as work hard. There's a very negative connotation to work
In
hard.
Jannica world,
I was
where
gonna say, honestly,
we're
that's
only,
kind of a your reality thing. I don't always think
Oh
about.
my
Tangy
God.
likes what I'm
hard.
saying. Thank you, Tangy. I
To me,
love
effort
you.
and work are this. I use them interchangeably because, like, to me, it's like, oh, it's just
So,
I'm working or I'm putting some sort of mental or physical effort. To me, it's
so
what
I
I'm
don't-
putting out, whether that be through work or talking or effort or sarcasm. It doesn't really matter.
Sarcasm, yes.
Sarcasm.
Emily works really
It
hard
takes
at
no
sarcasm.
effort.
Yeah, I don't-
Actually,
I-
zero effort in the amount of sarcasm I can output.
look, we're here working all day. Nobody's saying like put 10 pounds on each of your wrist, so it makes typing hard because then you're, no, we're not trying to say that. But if the goal in the case of Grant wants to be a professional NFL player.
Right.
Hey, data boy, can you like kick me out the number of what's the percentage of high schoolers that end up as in the professionals?
Like less than 1%.
There's a
Yeah.
point,
something
2%?
like that.
yeah, I mean, I don't know the specific number. It's definitely less than 1%.
It's like
Okay.
1,000 of them get, 1 in 1,000 get to college,
That's
and
too
then 1
complicated.
in 100 get to, or
Okay,
something
so
like
that
that.
said,
Something crazy.
you want to hit not Mount Everest, you want to hit
4 feet above it.
4 feet above it that doesn't even exist. So you didn't
Right.
get there and then create a ladder with ice and snow and dead people, bones, and then get up
And
there.
poop. Someone
frozen
has to
poop.
And poop, I know, I was gonna get there. So
Shit
he was
mountain.
like, oh, that's cool, bro. I'm gonna go lay down. Like, no.
Yeah.
That's your goal.
Right.
You set that goal for yourself, and you're gonna have to work. Whatever
Right.
Janica's word is, you're gonna have to work. Or
gonna have to-
Tangi's word. You're gonna manifest yourself. Whatever it is that you need to do.
What
To
friggin'
get
words
there.
you
I'm
need
so
to
glad
use
you brought
to tell
that up
yourself.
because there are people who feel that they have to work 90 hours a week to get to X. And then there are people who think, I just have to put the intention out there. I have to do my best. I have to set my boundaries. I have to live happily. I have to focus on the things to get me there. But really for me, what's healthy is to work 40 hours. And they still get to that same X.
Some people do, but I think it's both.
It's also going to depend on, again, where that vision is. Because it's like, I want to be a doctor. Well, I can't really manifest my way through medical school. So there's going to be a lot of time
Oh
and
yeah,
effort.
yeah. I'm not
So-
saying you can't not do anything, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is there's a mindset of effort involved, time involved,
How about-
pain involved.
how about-
All of that equals a bigger success, and that's bullshit.
I
It
agree with
doesn't.
you. That is correct. Because that's called spinning your wheels. You can spin your wheels really
Right.
hard, but if you're not doing it in the right
You don't
way,
have
or
traction or whatever.
you have no traction on it. But if you have traction and things are working well for you, it does require input of energy to get to a spot.
Totally agree.
And so the law of attraction doesn't say, I just give it to you. The law of
Nope.
attraction says, I will open the doors for you. Opportunities will show
Right.
up. Walk through the fucking door.
Yeah, I'll open the door, but not carrying you through it.
I'm not going to carry you through it. So
Did I
some
say
doors,
it was going to
no,
be
but
easy?
some
No,
doors,
there's a difference. It's a
some doors are way
mindset.
up there, and you're gonna like climb up there, and that climbing takes effort, and you might have 10 rungs that you can't get to, and you're gonna struggle through those. But there's another
Why
one.
do you have to
Okay,
struggle?
so here's a question.
I think
right.
there's certain words that just trigger Jannica,
Right,
and
right.
that's what this
because
is
words
about.
have power.
So-
Really? Because the other day you
Yes.
said saying cuss words in this certain building is who cares because we're putting power in the words. So
Exactly.
don't put power in that word.
But it's a generic one. It's like people hear it and they take it on.
So instead of trying
Please
to
help me with her.
instead of trying to figure out how to make these two views come together,
Let's vote on it.
no,
Let's not vote on it.
Good
I
people.
win.
no, we're gonna take
I'm the
we're gonna
oldest.
take the
Sorry.
secondary view. So inside of the paradigm that Janny has described, where people should not have to struggle, and all these words that are kind of
Yeah, everybody owns an island. Yeah, I got it.
You're listening now. What happens? Okay, so what is the process?
Wait. Say it again.
What, that Abe's listening now?
Uh-huh. Oh my god, I love that. Okay, go.
But like, what
I
is so?
think his head's about to explode.
So what happens when
We're
something?
still live right
What
now.
happens when there is a challenge?
They
Okay,
crumble.
but it's a mindset.
No, I
because
know, yeah.
because within that, okay, I'm gonna give a really good example.
Because I knew there was one
Go
in
for it.
there, and we got stuck on talking about the semantics.
I have lots of examples of this, but I'll give you one that most people can understand. Okay.
See, she's talking down to you guys. I never talk down to you guys. Look at like most people can understand.
No, most of you, because I don't think you've experienced it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, like
I know.
Childbirth.
I know
Childbirth.
someone
Here we go,
in there.
childbirth.
No, I wasn't going to go there.
like me and Emily probably are on the same page when like thinking about like the words connotation, the effort part. So we haven't experienced it on that side. So
Okay, so Emily has had some pretty horrific experiences that she worked through, and they were huge challenges. And some days she did it with a huge smile on her face, and other days she needed, I don't know how I would have been in those situations, right? But I would say for where she was at, I was blown away at how she handled some of it. You look at other people in that same position, they would have been a crumbling mess the entire time. Woe is me, everyone come, I need you, come pay attention to me, support me, da 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 da. I'm suffering, life sucks, validate how miserable everything is, like there's that. So I want to talk about though, like, okay, so when I had my last major kidney stone issue, it was horrific.
yeah.
Could not, no painkillers touched it. And I am dealing with it for 3 weeks. And I get to the point where they do the surgery, which they destroyed the tubes. Basically, the surgery destroyed the tubes that were already pretty destroyed from the stones. So then they put stents in. So there's no pain to describe what that feels like. Like, I can't compare it to anything I've gone through. Just horrific pain, and I wasn't going to spend $8,000 a day to go sit in hospital because insurance wouldn't cover it with the morphine. So all I know is I could lay there and cry and complain and whine, or I could crawl in a ball, meditate, pray, do my Lamaze breathing, and when my kids came in, talk to them as if I wasn't dying.
And mentally shift yourself away
Yes,
from.
it was all mental. It was, I got this, I can do this. This is my choice. I can go pay the $8,000. Yes, I can go into, I can do that. Or I'm going to choose to do the best that I can here, be the best example I can, and move forward.
So what Jenny is describing is stoicism.
Yeah, it is.
So my question is, because of that moment in time, were you able to reflect inward and say, and work through your mind, your breathing, your whatever, to handle the situation? And have you carried that forward at all ever? Hopefully you haven't been in that much pain again, but
No, I haven't
is
been
there
in that
any
much pain
moment you're
yet.
like, I've handled this,
You
I
know
can
what
do this?
You know what was so amazing to me was that I reflected back to high school when I was given the choice to do my junior senior year together, and given that power and that ownership of, you have the choice to do this, but you are going to have so much work to do. It's going to be hard. You're not going to succeed like all the shit people said to me, right? But I did it, and I knew I could do it. And I didn't have the mentality that it was hard. It was fun. It was a challenge. It was, this is such a great opportunity. And so when I was sitting there in that pain, my whole thought was, this
Okay.
is a choice. This is, I am making the choice.
But do you see how that moment in time where you went through 2 grades at the same time, 99.9% of the other 7 billion people on earth would say that was probably very hard. You had to work probably a lot, and I think you even did work at the time, like a
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, full-time
So
job.
you didn't get to watch movies all
That's
the
why
time.
she hates that word.
You didn't get to do whatever you want to do all the time. And I think at that time you were saying you were changing your nail color every day. Did you still
Yeah,
do
pretty
that
much.
at that time?
Yeah.
Okay. So you got to do all of those things that other people would have said that was really, really hard. But you went through it, you succeeded in it, and then you were able to look back on that and go like, I've done something really difficult before. It gave you some
I
perspective.
didn't think of it as difficult, though.
Okay. Well,
That's the difference. To me, it was, this is a fun experience. This is a challenge. This is something new. Like, yes, I could have every day gone,
But why
oh
do you-
my
what is the
God,
word
I
hard
have
to me?
8 hours
Hold on
of
a second.
homework.
What does the word hard mean to you? Because people get on the top of Everest because they literally want to say, I succeeded, I enjoyed, I loved the challenge, the struggle to get to the top. What does that mean
It's
to
like, I
you?
wanted to do something that other people can't do because they give up.
Yeah, I mean, that's why only like 200 people or 1,000 people were ever on the top of Everest.
I don't know. I don't think of it that way. It's never me against someone else.
So when
number
you were
one.
in that, when you were in the river and doing a rafting thing, and they were
Yeah.
flipping you over and over and over, and you almost drowned 10,000 times, and you couldn't breathe, and you were in so much pain, and you couldn't you wouldn't call that hard? That wasn't a struggle?
No, that was definitely hard and a struggle. But I didn't think of it that way.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it's just that
It was an
just
experience. It was fun.
Just for the normal person, we're all trying to say we all need to be like you in the way you think of things.
No.
And for everybody else, that's the whole point. It's that everybody else understands those things as struggling, and we use the words hard and difficult. And my whole point is that what you've gone through is what has allowed you to be an empowered state on future projects and future things and current things that you're going through.
I think it also depends on
because you've done the practice of accepting the things that you can control and giving up the need to focus on the stuff that you can't.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes. Okay, it's
Tangi is really trying to get us to all fight each other
it's the
with this question.
so
So do challenges equal struggles to you?
do challenges equal struggles? If you look at the challenge as a struggle,
See, that's it.
Yeah,
I think it's
qualifier.
the
So no.
time that happens
Jamie
while
does
you're
not
doing
look at
it,
challenges
it's
as
a struggle.
That's right.
Afterwards, it was a challenge.
Yeah. So let's do something
I
fair,
don't
because
know.
I don't think we should really beat this one up like this. I think we should do this. I'm gonna go on what's called the dictionary,
what is
because Jannica likes to come up with new definitions of
we have
stuff.
4 sets of realities here, and we're going to live in those realities.
Well, I'm gonna look at Webster's
We're using
reality.
the connotation, not the denotation.
Yeah.
so okay, you said something perfect that I want to touch on.
Well, hold on. We only have
Wait, Abe,
we only have 4 minutes.
You,
Okay,
Steven.
Oh, damn it.
So
The usual.
serenity prayer, the serenity prayer. I remember when I was little doing in school. Well, at Seventh Day Adventist school, you had to handwrite the beautiful verses and the color of the page and all of that. So I remember this one when I was little, and I don't know, second,
Thank God
third,
for
fourth
my
grade, and
godless
it's stuck
school.
in my head. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. And I was like, oh, I can't change this about so-and-so. Like there was a kid next to me who had really, really bad breath, and he would always breathe on me. And I was like, I can't change that. I remember that.
I disagree. There would be many solutions.
Please have a
And
rest.
courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That has stuck in my head forever, and I apply it to everything.
Yeah.
And not worry about what anyone else is worried about. Like that's their shit. They can worry about it.
We're all trying to get there. That
Not
one.
everyone's as enlightened as you, Jannica.
No.
See, struggle means to proceed with difficulty or with great effort. That's all I'm saying is that there are things that take great effort.
Okay, I like the great effort part, but why do so many people think that struggle has to be difficult? Like have to have
It
that
says it
mentality.
right there, to proceed with difficulty.
No. The mentality of it's difficult.
Well, that's
so
the whole point, dear. The whole
Because
point is
English
that
doesn't have the right words. There's probably
Sorry.
a German word that specifically relates to that specific
okay,
type
it's
of
not
effort.
a word. It's a mentality.
Yeah, but
Why
we're not
do-
talking about the mentality.
I am.
We were talking about the dictionary definition of the word struggle, which is great effort.
Okay.
I'm not saying people need to go and cry in the corner. The whole point of them crying in the corner and not giving up is that most likely, especially with serenity prayers and getting information and outside perspectives, they can continue their great effort, get on the other side of it, and have learned a new empowered state. You can't do that if all you do is sit on the couch.
I totally agree.
That's the whole point. But then that means the minute
Well, I'm
you
going
get...
to try, damn it.
Well, she's like, I'm going to do all 9 seasons of whatever
So
Game of Thrones in 1 weekend.
So
Struggle.
I
I
will
get
offer
offensive words.
us an additional supporting perspective on why so many people.
I just want to know who you're supporting here, me or her.
No, the conversation.
Me. Just me.
why people do get why it is more common that people get stuck in a cycle of doing a little bit more focus on the things that are hard as opposed to moving beyond. Because one of the things that we're wired as humans is to gravitate toward things that progress and that at least have some general payoff. But everything about life is structured in a way that in most cases, most people do not have the tools to be able to get that progress, if that makes sense.
Yeah, biologically,
Yeah.
we're going to keep hitting that coconut on a rock because eventually there's food inside of it.
Right.
But it takes a lot of effort to crack that coconut when all you have is a rock.
And, well, all you have rock, but even in that situation...
You have to have figured out, I probably need a rock for this. Who
Right.
do I know who has rocks?
But what usually
What's
ends
that
up happening
pointy
is
rock?
someone says, oh, here's a coconut. Okay, I figured out a rock. I'm going to try to crack this coconut. And then they crack the coconut and they find out that actually the coconut was rotten because they got switched. right? Because someone else was like, oh, I know the system, I'm gonna set the system up so I keep winning because I need my own dopamine hit, and so I'm gonna put all the rock coconuts over there for you regular people, and you won't figure it out till later. And
those of you who were not willing to put the effort to climb the tree and get a good one.
so there's a lot of things where people say, okay, I can do the mindset, they go through, and the payoff is still nothing. Like they do all of the homework and they still get an F on the test, and you're like, okay, what happened? And then you go through that a few times. Most people, you know, they get through their formative years, and if that's all they've experienced, then they're like, for the most part, are locked in.
Yeah.
Because there's a natural distribution of resources, and grit is a resource, perseverance is a resource, ingenuity is a resource. Most of the time, 20% of the population has this like innate resource, and everyone else has to find it.
Right.
And that's how nature distributes everything. That's the reason why only 1% of really talented people actually play professional football, because it is not possible for 100% of people to play professional football. So that's like why some people get stuck in that frame where it's like, well, this just sucks.
So do you think that, what was it that Alex said the other day? She talked about this. There's this whole concept that if everyone worked on being peaceful and thought...
Yes, it was, if everybody worked on being conscious, was it?
No, it had to do with peace. Because if we as a collective, if everyone focused on peace as the response, there would not be war. There would not be...
No.
You don't believe that?
There would be 1% of the population that get really good at killing all the peaceful people.
Yeah.
Because some people are just
And you would be the
wired
leader of
differently.
that, wouldn't you?
No, I'd be like, haha, I saw them coming in. Right. But there are some people that are just wired differently. Like I like that as a
I
concept.
bring out war and
But
peace and like, you
She
know.
did. She used the word everyone,
Right.
not almost everyone. So go
Right.
back to what she said and then say what you were going to say.
Well,
I
yeah,
just
but
think
I mean,
It's a utopian idea. We
That's
get
what I'm
that.
saying.
So
Yeah,
just
I
stay in
love-
utopia world, dude.
I love that as an idea, but like it's just
But I've also met people.
the ability to think about the world as a utopian place speaks more to that person's safety and comfort in their own situation than it does in the possibility of that actually happening.
That's a dream.
It is.
It's a dream.
And it's a great, like, most people are trying to get to the place where they can start considering that dream.
Yeah.
Like that's really what it is. Most people are trying to get to the place where they can start considering that dream and be like, you know what if? That's a great place to be in. Like, I love being in a what if place. And
Your dream, like,
it's
The
and,
vision
like,
of
I
a
recognize
world
that
with-
that is a privilege I have. I can for the most part live in a what if place.
yeah.
And
The vision of a world with like no violence or war. Is,
Right.
You're probably, you know, the hierarchy of needs. You're not hungry. You're not in need of things.
yeah.
That allows you to take your mind off of the immediate need of like, I must find food. I must find shelter. Now I can think about philosophy and.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right in that regard. That is so
Yeah.
true.
So in the utopian world, yeah, that's a great thing. And you know, then and that shows a more that's a very good outward view that you're thinking of, like, okay, if everyone could
Not
be,
just what would be a great version for me. It'd be like, what would be amazing for
what's this
everyone.
thing that works for everybody, and how could I
Well,
imagine
which
that
is why we've talked about putting these things in the school we're building.
because utopian could also be the other way around. Someone's thinking utopian world for themselves singularly, then they're like, what if I owned and controlled everything?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's exactly the case. So it's interesting you were talking about the coconuts and that effort. Tingy said something the other day, which was...
Put the lime in the coconut and drink it all.
Yeah.
Totally thinking that, like, oh, I
With the
need
pina
a
colada.
coconut.
We were talking about how we're constantly you're saying, oh, if we could just, when we do this, then we, you know, and then we get there, and then we do another one, and then so now it's like, oh, now we're in Dallas. Okay, but now we want to school. Then we go struggle, work hard, difficulty, whatever the word is you want to call it, and we have a school. And the next thing we're like, what if we open a university? And so we're always going from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And you're right, that is the human existence. Mm-hmm. And because we enjoy that process, going back to what Jannica was talking about, you know, she has fun in the process of pushing herself to a challenge.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what the whole goal of all this was to say, is those challenges may be difficult, but they also can be fun. It's all, like she said, and that way you look at it.
And 90% of people really want to just be able to define what it is that they get to put that effort into, not have the world dictate what that effort has to be directed at.
Yeah, of course, they're going to, most people end up doing exactly what they want to do. I would say,
No.
No, I would say that there's 10 to 15% of the population gets to do exactly what they want to do, and everybody else has to deal with the situation that's been handed to them.
Well,
Give me an example.
it's the situation they've chosen. They made a choice
Right,
that's got them locked into some sort of situation.
So, like for instance, right now, let's say that you are just enamored with animals, and being a farmer is exactly the thing that you want to do. Do you want
Sure.
to be dealing with trade implications of the president's decision to put a tariff on Chinese goods that then come back to you? No, you want to grow soybeans and sell them and provide for your family and keep your land.
One second though, let's be really asshole here. And like, are you talking about the same government that was subsidizing my farm to begin with?
Yes, what I'm saying is those are all external things that have
Yeah,
happened.
but every profession has somebody fucking with you. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that it is a small part of the population that enjoys dealing with all of those activities and finds that as the thing that actually they get enjoyment from, which I would say we are those people. And everyone else is trying to do a singular thing and dealing with all the additional stuff that comes with trying to do that thing.
Oh, cool. I think here's the perspective. What they're asking for is their version of a utopian life that, like you said about the future,
Yes.
the world utopian life, it just doesn't exist. That's why these conversations are so, well, all I wanted to do is, I only wanted to do this one thing, this one little thing, and then this person came and fucked up my shit, and da-da-da, like,
Right.
well, hold on. Why did you even think that was going to be the case? Why did you ever think that in a global thing like soybeans, global calamities, trade wars, nuclear wars were never going to affect you? Why did you even think that? Where
Because
did you
I
even
just
come
wanted
from
to
this?
walk in my field with my
Well, maybe
cows and
100%.
whatever else lives on farms.
So
I
maybe
don't
that is
know. I
your
live in part
perception of the
life.
situation, not these perception of the situation.
Right, but that's the thing. Every interaction between humans is a combination of two different realities.
Well, but it's human in its nature. I mean, going to the same farmers, forget the trade war going on. There's right now flooding in the middle of the country.
Yep.
The whole damn middle of the country is flooded. I don't know if anybody really knows this, is watching the news. Huge implications to food prices over the next year or two. Huge. Like, they're not even putting corn in the ground yet, and it's already about to be June. It's already the middle of the 21st of May on this video right now. They're not planted. Like, what are you going to do? At some point, they're like, well, we can't plant it now. Hey, it's too late.
Yeah.
So they're going to talk about a growing season where nobody's going to make any money, and forget that part. Well, that's one thing. And the other side is, what are we going to do with the food? Like, we need that food into our system. Like, corn, soybeans,
What will my
that
food
stuff goes into
What will
your...
my food eat?
Yeah.
Bingo, that's what I was about to say. People like Emily that eat the beef, that stuff eats the beef. Your beef prices are going to go really, really high. Blah, blah, blah. You get the point.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right?
Our kids are all
So
becoming
it's not
vegetarian.
Just
even,
start
it's not
eating
even
poor
the
people.
trade war. In this case, it's...
Right.
I'm in the business that
Honest
needs land,
proposal.
and the land is getting flooded. Guess what? When there is a massive EMP strike on the United States by China, or the solar winds or something, and I can't use the computer, I'm in the same boat all of a sudden. Like, I can't make any money. I can't communicate with anybody. Like, my whole existence is through the internet. The farmer's like, cool, bro, I'm going to go back and plant this stuff, and I'll be selling it to you here soon when it's done. Like, you shouldn't have been all on the internet. Well, you shouldn't have been just able to be flooded. Like,
Right. That's why
tell me an industry that this is not the case.
That's why I'm saying, like, I'm not prescribing people should or should not do something. It's just that most people are striving for a much more simplified.
I think most people are striving for a world that doesn't exist, which is one that they can just wake up 9 to 5. There's never a difficult moment, and when there's a difficult moment, they're the victim of it, rather than this is what it is. Now I need to approach it the way it is. Go to Mr. Viktor Frankl. I'm sure he was not looking on his agenda like get locked in concentration camp for 4 years. But if he can say, this is how at these moments life is so beautiful. I mean, you have to read this book. It's amazing.
Right. No, I mean,
Like in these moments, these are the people that you knew would die. These are the people. And it's something really simple. Let's go back to the goals.
right.
You said not so many, all these talented people can't all be professional players. You're
Yes.
100%, right? Because they're really looking for that sliver of the top, right? And there's always going to be a top. So what he said, and he tells a story about a person who died because in his mind, he had a dream that the Nazis were going to be, like, they were going to be freed. I think it was May 30 or March 30. And the dream was literally one of these months, like the months that just passed or the month we're in.
Right.
So all of a sudden, as it was approaching the day, he started to get sick. And as soon as the day came and he wasn't freed, he died. Now, there is a statistical probability that he died because he just got sick and there was nothing to do with his mental state about the deadline. But how was it? He said, So many people died around Christmas, New Year, Easter, because they had an idea in their mind of what was going to exactly happen on the day, and it came, it failed, they died. They literally gave up on life. Is the goal of the person to be in the NFL, or is the goal of the person to have fun working at the physical extremes of their body, being the best athlete that they can be?
Being a part of a team, the
These
camaraderie.
are two totally different goals.
partnership.
One of them is that, like, I'll be free on March the 30th, and the other one is I get to struggle and work hard and push myself to the limits,
I get to
right?
enjoy
You
the
see what I'm
process.
saying, right?
Yeah.
This goal, I would say, oh, hold on, law of attraction stuff, good for you. I don't know.
So
The other one, like, you can accomplish this, even a 70-year-old woman can accomplish this one.
So that is the one that I would say most people are driving toward, and we've hit, I mean, apparently, you know, if we look back in history, it hits about every 100-ish years or so. We've hit this place where there's extreme imbalance in the amount of people that are able to be in a place where they can enjoy the process, and the people that would like to enjoy the process, but all the circumstances are forcing them down this path where they cannot enjoy the process in any type of way.
Again,
Regardless of what direction they're going.
I don't know, what do you say, like, enjoy the process, you can't enjoy the process? I don't know, what do you want to call it? The process is the process.
I know, I'm just saying, like, most, like, I would say I don't think any single mom is enjoying the process of being a single mom. Like, that's very rarely someone's
I was a
choice.
single dad for a while, and but it is what it is.
I know it is what it is. What I'm saying is that was not the ideal place that you were like, this
You
is
did not set out
But that
to
is
be
the
a
whole
single
point,
dad. You
is
just
that
found yourself in
when
situation
that vision,
and
no, but
you
that's the
worked through
point.
it.
When that vision of my life collides with what happens, is because I had this idea of bullshit. And when this process happens, I get the struggle and the suffering, but that's my fault. Why did I think I was going to have this life that there would be no difficulty?
We're not talking about having a life. We're not saying thinking about having a life where there'd be no difficulty. We're saying that most people are accepting the difficulty, just the probability of them having mostly difficulty and not having those moments where they're like, this is the thing, I like this process and I like to do more of it, is higher. Like, think about, like, what the process that is most enjoyable is figuring out, like, new challenges.
Okay, sure,
and
for
new
me, yes,
businesses.
yes,
Okay.
sure.
So if you're working toward that, let's say it happens for 6 months, and then everything else for the next 20 years is versions of complications that stop you from ever getting back to that point. It's not because you have a bad mindset. It is.
I would say,
there are other
honestly,
circumstances
no, I
you
would,
can't control.
this is the difference. I will say, yes, it is my mindset at that point. Concentration camp, man, tells there
It's
is
always-
joy to even have in this.
Mhm.
There's beauty even in this.
Yeah.
So what I'm
not
saying is that we can't control that
I'm
stuff.
not saying not finding it. I'm just saying that, like, outside of someone's take on the situation as it exists is not the situation that they ideally want to be in.
Of
That's
course. Well, that's an obvious one, right? Like
so if 90% of the population is in the situation where they don't, that they would ideally not want to be, you can't say that it's their choice.
it's not their choice, and that is the whole purpose of this whole conversation. They don't
Yes.
have a choice. We don't have a choice. Farmer does not have a choice to be flooded. But you do have a choice in how you react to the flood and how
Right.
you react to this. And that is the whole
And whether you
purpose of this
stay there.
conversation.
And that is exactly what I was trying to get you to say, because before you were saying it like it was someone's choice.
Accurate.
Either way, I don't know. All I'm saying is that whatever happens in life, we have the
Yes.
choice on how to react to it.
Right.
And whether
Where I
to stay
started off.
there
You're
or
choosing
not.
your reaction, you're not choosing your situation.
And if
Yes.
the minute you know that, life changes dramatically. Because regardless of, I'm not saying I love to see a kid starving, like where somebody's mother, some mother that has to pick between their two, true story, like mothers sometimes have to pick, or fathers have to pick between which kid gets to eat and which kid dies.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying, hey, you know, but his reaction to that situation or her reaction to the situation is still her choice.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the story of the gentleman in the concentration camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not nothing I would ever wish on anybody, but these things do happen. Earthquakes happen, blah, 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 blah. These things happen.
Right.
You can be always woe is me, or choose a different state to move on with life.
Right.
And I'm always saying, I would say it this way. How about this way? Thank God I don't think I've ever suffered significantly. Like, I've had a lot of first world problems.
Right.
Maybe like 1.1 world problems. Like, I've never gone to like third world problems. I've never gone to eighth world problems. I don't even know what any of that is like.
Right.
So let me tell you, like, I'm spoiled in that sense. Thank God.
Like, you've never had to choose between like gas to get to work for the week and eating for the next 2 days.
No, never. I mean,
Yeah.
as difficult as things had ever been, I would even say I've never even had that. Thank God.
Right.
Okay. That said, if something was to happen, or any of those things that start to happen to me, I still have the choice at that point. I know enough now to be constantly redirecting it. When I couldn't walk at home, like I had to get help to go to the bathroom because I could not move my body,
Right.
I was not upset. I was not like, woe is me. All I kept on, and I finally thought about it. I said, I have been wanting to develop my mental strength.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this what I asked for? Probably. Like, what an easy way. Like, we're not taking your kid away from you or anything.
Right. There's no.
Hey man, you're cool. Like, in a week you'll be walking. You could cry and text everybody.
Here's a small exercise.
I mean, of all of the things in the world, I swear to God, I'm not even joking. My back hurt. It's not even that it hurt so bad. I literally couldn't move.
Yeah.
I don't even understand how this worked, where if I was staying still, my back didn't hurt. I just didn't have power in my legs at all. Enough to do anything more than stand if someone helped me stand. But I couldn't walk. I couldn't get my legs moving. I honestly got to the point that I thought,
You would drag your leg.
Yeah, I couldn't move my right leg, and I had to have someone with me to get my left leg going. I thought, man, if this keeps up, I need to get a wheelchair, and I'll just move downstairs. I was not upset. When I was 14 years old, I went a similar mental exercise, and I said, kill me. My mental exercise, if I got in an accident and I lost a leg, might as well shoot me, I'm dead. Why would I be around? Now at 39 years old, I'm like, no big deal. No big deal.
Right.
I'm still here. There's a lot of people that maybe, and I'm not saying this is like inherent my gift, like I've learned, I've studied, I've researched, that, oh, no worries. I've been working on mental strength. Awesome. I can work on my mental strength here.
Right.
So I'm always like, thank you so much for that exercise. Please don't give me a bigger exercise.
Yes.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't want, like, I'm cool here playing. I don't want to be like Pro Bowl. I'm good here right now, right? So, but you don't know, man. There's people that have gone through some crazy, crazy stuff. There's people who have gone through some crazy stuff that'll sit in court and say, I forgive you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgive that person. And go and give them a hug. Like, you watch that and that's the lesson. I can't say I'm suffering. Like, she's suffering. I saw a video within the last year, a mother whose child was killed. Mm-hmm. She was actually a Muslim lady. She went up there with the scarf. It was good. It was good to see that. And she got off the stand and came and gave him a hug. So I'm like, I feel so bad that you're in this position that the way you think is to go kill somebody else. Like, talk about like the wisdom in her.
Yeah. That was a video you shared on Facebook, right?
I did. I like, oh my God.
So
like
powerful.
The lessons to be learned there. What have I ever, like, you could lose both my legs. That's not the same.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not the same as losing your kid, and especially to violent crime.
Right.
If she's able to go up there and hug the person, the murderer of her child, and say, I forgive you, and I hope you get the treatment and the, whatever, like, what the hell? And thankfully, the vast majority of us, the extent of their most difficulty is never that.
Right.
So let's all stay in that realm and talk about it, and like, there's just no reason to.
So you said something earlier that asking him if he'd ever been in the position of eating or driving to work. So I have, and it's still in that moment or those experiences, it's still a choice of your attitude.
Well, yes. I was just saying, like, we're quantifying what we were talking about experience-wise. But
yeah,
yes. I mean, like,
what stuck with me is the number of people that I know or I have known who have had really, really hard times that most people haven't experienced or aren't going to admit that they've experienced, and they live in it. Like, it's such a...
It consumes everything around them.
It consumes them, and so it becomes miserable. I really do remember the times when we did not have electricity as kids, and it was a fun adventure. Like, it wasn't, oh my God, we're destitute. It was like, oh, this is an adventure.
There's definitely something to be said for, and this is why I was talking about the whole, like, grid distribution.
Yeah.
That is a lot of, like...
And that's going to also be the reality your parents built around that
well,
situation.
They did.
Right. But
because
also
they're freaking the hell out, you're going to be scared and the lights are off. It's just like, oh, we're just going to camp in the living room or
Yep.
something. No big deal.
There's a giving up and then a burning out type experience that happens in some of those, right? And
Yeah.
I've actually heard that from a bunch of people that I know that have gone through similar experiences. Them as children, they learn from it, and then their parents never recovered.
Oh, I could see that.
Because their parents, like
It was-
they had enough fortitude to like make it through the situation, and it burned them out, and then the
Yeah.
kids got the positive, and that's essentially what the parents were going
Well,
for.
and I guess and as an adult
Yeah.
too, you can be reflecting on, well, this is where I was, and now I've fallen down here. Whereas a kid, you're still on that
Yeah.
journey from 0 to wherever you are. So it's always really
Well,
an work line.
and it goes
too.
back to Maslow's
Yeah.
hierarchy of needs. As a kid, all
Yeah.
you care about is love and safety
Yeah.
and food.
And My Little Ponies.
And well,
It's
Yeah.
easy. It's easy to check those boxes.
yeah.
My Little
And even if you don't have perceived safety or perceived security in home, if your parents are there with you, or at least that person or someone that is
Right.
that guardian to
Right.
you, nothing else matters
Yeah.
as
So
a
guys,
kid.
what is wrong with us? We're 20 minutes over.
I mean, it was.
You talk a lot?
We started the struggle conversation, which we should have done like on our
I mean,
own show.
That
Sorry.
probably should have been.
No, it's great. It's great.
It's our
great.
stream. We just say what time we start. We don't tell them what time we're gonna be done.
That's true. That's
Why do
true.
we have to have rules?
No, we're good. I had a call that I totally messed up on and didn't get on. So.
No.
Oops.
Yep. So I really jacked that. It's not on my calendar, man, but I know. And I got an email. I totally messed this up. All right. So, anyways, God bless everybody.
What are we gonna talk about tomorrow?
Whatever you want to talk about.
Because
But
are
we
you
gotta go.
gonna be here?
Yeah, we'll be here tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Wednesday? Yes. Maybe.
I'll
Sure.
think of something. Steven and Robert and I will create
Thank
a
you guys so
delightful
much
show.
for tuning in. Thank you everybody for your questions. Thank you TNG for interacting with us and for mostly
Stirring
just
the
agreeing with
pot.
me
And being so awesome and agreeing with me?
and agreeing with Abe. That's awesome.
Nope, she did not agree with you.
So amazing. And yeah, so signing off till tomorrow. It's Abe Nadimi,
Jannica Morton.
Emily Francis.
The mystery.
the mystery.
I'm just
Still the mystery. All right, guys.